Picture this. It's Monday morning. You just woke up. Eyes half open, hair's a mess. But your very first reflex? Grab your phone to check your banking app. You've got that nervous excitement, kind of like a kid on Christmas morning getting ready to unwrap a present. Then you see the balance. You blink. You look again. You squint at the screen, hoping maybe, just maybe, your screen is blurry. But no, it's reality. That number looks awfully familiar. Oh, right. It looks exactly like your balance before payday. The money hit your account and immediately sprinted out the back door. No note, no explanation. It completely ghosted you, just like your toxic ex. Quick, clean, and leaving zero trace. Sound familiar? If you're nodding right now, welcome to the majority of America. A 2025 Federal Reserve report shows the average American has less than $500 in actual liquid savings after covering fixed expenses. We are basically living paycheck to paycheck on repeat. Meanwhile, the Japanese household savings rate is 3 times higher. It's not because they earn a higher salary. It's not because they're math geniuses. It's because they are playing by a completely different set of rules when it comes to money. And that rule book, it isn't a secret. It isn't complicated. You don't need a finance degree, and you definitely don't need to read 10 boring 400-page books that put you to sleep by chapter 2. It just requires you to look dead in the eye at a few things we all know are problems, things we keep doing every single day, simply because nobody has given us the tough love we actually need. In today's video, you and I are going through 9 minimalist financial rules the Japanese have used for generations. Real data, real examples, and practical enough that you can start applying them this week without buying a single spreadsheet. But before we jump in, I have to warn you about rule number 9. Rule number 9 is not about money. It's not about investing in index funds. It's not about budgeting. It's about something you would never expect. And when I tell you the specific stat from the Harvard Business Review about it, I guarantee you will look at your phone contacts in a completely different way. The kind of look where you're scrolling through names, just wincing. If you feel like you are hustling 24/7, but your net worth is stuck on the side of the road with an empty gas tank, hit subscribe and turn on the bell right now. Drop "less is more" in the comments so I know you're here. Let's get into it. Hey, quick question for you. How many bank accounts do you actually have? Don't say it out loud. Just count them in your head. 1, 2, 3. If it took you more than 3 seconds to remember the exact number, or worse, you had to open your phone to check, stop counting. You just answered the question right there. Experian reported in 2025 that the average American has 2.5 bank accounts and nearly 4 credit cards. And you know the funny part? Most people are actually proud of it. They'll say, "I'm diversifying my finances." Sounds professional, sounds smart, sounds like an adult planning ahead. In reality, you're just building a financial escape room and getting lost inside it every single month. Let's be real. Having 5 bank accounts and no idea where your cash flow is going is like having 5 wallets and not knowing which one holds your cash. Then you're standing at the checkout line, looking super confident, swiping them one by one. Have you seen that person? Or, are you that person? No judgment, I've been there. The Japanese don't do this. They have a concept called seiri, the first step in their 5S philosophy. It simply means eliminate the unnecessary. And it doesn't just apply to your desk or your kitchen cabinets. It applies to your financial system. Their formula is so simple that people usually ignore it, thinking there must be some complex secret behind it. Like, is that it? I must be missing something. You aren't missing anything. 1 checking account for daily spending, 1 high-yield savings account to build wealth, 1 credit card, paid off in full every month. You take the reward points and go home, never paying a dime in interest. 3 things. Nothing more, nothing less. Bankrate data from 2026 shows that people with a simplified financial system hit their savings goals 40% more often than those with complex ones. Not because they're smarter, not because they're more disciplined, simply because fewer doors mean fewer places for your money to sneak out. You can't argue with that logic, right? This week, I want you to try one small thing. Sit down. List every account and card you have. For each one, ask yourself point blank, do I really need this? If the answer isn't a hard, yes, I use it constantly and I know exactly what it's doing for me, close it. Simplify first, optimize later, don't mix up the order. Ever. Your financial system is cleaner. But now I need to ask you something a little more personal. Is your phone screen cracked right now? Not a massive shatter, just a tiny hairline crack in the corner. It works perfectly fine, but every time you look at it, you see it. And that tiny crack whispers to you every single day, hey, maybe it's time for an upgrade, buddy. You deserve something better. If you're nodding right now, welcome to the majority of America. You are reacting exactly how the consumer industry engineered you to react. Not because you're easily manipulated, but because a multi-billion-dollar marketing ecosystem was built for one single purpose: to make what works perfectly fine look like it's no longer good enough. They are very good at it, and they get paid a lot of money to get better at it every single year. The EPA reported in 2025 that the US is one of the world's biggest generators of e-waste. Most of those devices still worked. They weren't replaced because they were dead. They were replaced because a tiny crack didn't look pretty, or because the new model had a feature that, let's be honest, you're going to use exactly once and then completely forget you even have. Consumer Reports calculated in 2025 that the average American could save over $1,400 a year just by repairing instead of replacing. The average repair cost is only 20 to 30% of the price of buying new. Let's do some quick math. Instead of dropping $1,200 on a new iPhone because of a cracked corner, you pay $150 to fix the screen and keep using it. That remaining $1,050 goes straight into an S&P 500 index fund. Multiply that by 15 years of compound interest. You see where that number goes, right? The Japanese have an art form called kintsugi, repairing broken pottery with gold. Not to hide the crack, but to highlight it. The crack is proof that the item has been used, has history, and holds real value. Sounds very artsy, right? But the financial impact of that mindset is incredibly practical, highly measurable, and a lot different than lining up outside an Apple store at 6 a.m. for a new phone. The rule is simple. Before you buy anything to replace what you already own, ask one question. Can this be fixed, and how much will it cost? If it's under 30% of the new price, fix it. The leftover cash is not allowed to sit in your checking account. It goes straight into an investment account before your brain invents a reason to blow it on something else. But listen, there's something draining your money in a way that's even more subtle than buying new stuff. It doesn't look like spending. It looks like your average morning. And I need you to be honest with me for a second. How many times this past month did you stand in front of a closet packed full of clothes and think, I have absolutely nothing to wear? Let that sink in for a second. A packed closet, nothing to wear. Both of these exist at the exact same time, in the exact same room, and nobody thinks it's a contradiction. It is one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of modern American life, right behind why pizzas are round but the boxes are square. I don't have a perfectly scientific answer for either, but I do have the data on what happens next. Those 20 minutes staring at your closet, it isn't just making you late for your meeting. It is quietly sabotaging your financial decision-making for the rest of the day. Neuroscience calls this decision fatigue. The human brain has a limit on the number of high-quality decisions it can make every day. Not a limit on quantity, but quality. Every time you debate between the blue shirt and the navy shirt at 7 a.m., you are burning a unit of cognitive energy that should have been used to carefully read over a contract that afternoon or to rationally decide if you should sign up for that subscription. And by 3 p.m., your brain battery is dead. A tired brain looks for the easiest path for everything. The easiest path is usually ordering Uber Eats instead of cooking. Nodding yes to an upsell you don't need. Opening Amazon at 10 p.m. and waking up the next morning staring blankly at an order confirmation email, wondering why you needed an automatic egg scrambler. Why, dear God, why? Do you know what Steve Jobs wore every day? Black turtleneck jeans. Every single day. Barack Obama only wore navy or gray suits. Mark Zuckerberg wears a gray t-shirt also every day. It's not because they lacked money. It's not because they didn't care about their appearance. It's because they understood a very simple concept nobody ever teaches us. Every meaningless micro-decision in the morning is a unit of energy wasted on something that produces zero value. And those guys had way too many important things to spend that energy on. The Journal of Consumer Psychology confirmed this with hard numbers in 2024. People who burn through micro-decisions in the morning are 23% more likely to make impulsive purchases later that same day. 23%, just because of a messy closet at 7 a.m. So what's the fix? Buy more clothes so you have more options? No, absolutely not. Buy less, but choose better. A capsule wardrobe doesn't mean wearing ugly clothes or dressing boring like a background extra in an action movie. It means curating your closet so every single item is something you actually wear, actually like, and easily matches with everything else. The result? Your morning takes 2 minutes instead of 20. And those 18 saved minutes aren't just time. They are cognitive energy preserved for the decisions that actually matter in your day. Open your closet today. Pull out anything you haven't worn in the last 6 months. Bag it up, donate it to Goodwill, or sling it on Facebook Marketplace. Make a few bucks and toss it into your savings while you're at it. Don't overthink it. If you don't remember wearing it, you don't need it. Simple as that. And every item you get rid of is one less morning decision you ever have to make again. Hey, quick question. Did you recognize yourself in at least one of those 3 things? The packed closet with nothing to wear, the cracked phone begging for an upgrade, or the bank account maze that you need an app just to navigate? If you did, drop the word guilty in the comments. I guarantee you aren't the only one. In fact, I'm guessing the vast majority of people watching this video will be typing that exact word. And if this video is turning a light bulb on for you, hit that like button so the algorithm pushes this to more people who need to hear it. Alright, the first 3 rules are done, and now I need to tell you about something we all know is a problem, but we still do it every time we open Amazon at 11 p.m., telling ourselves, I'm just browsing, I'm not going to buy anything. I need you to imagine a scenario. Last night, you were laying on the couch. No plans to buy anything. Not hungry, not sad, not missing anything in your life. Just mindlessly scrolling your phone, completely harmless. Then you see a thing. You aren't sure you need it. Actually, you aren't even sure what it is. But it's 68% off, only 2 left in stock. And there's a countdown timer ticking away, just fast enough to make your heart beat a little quicker than normal, like you're on the trading floor of Wall Street instead of your couch in sweatpants. 15 minutes later, you get an order confirmation email. The next morning, you read that email and ask yourself, what did I just buy? And why? And more importantly, why do I need a natural gemstone ankle massager? You're not the only one going through that. Adobe Analytics 2025 reports that Americans drop over $1,900 a year on online impulse buys. Not because they're loaded with extra cash, not because they lack discipline compared to everyone else, but because they are missing one tiny thing between the emotion and the decision. The pause. Retailers know this. They know it very well. That countdown timer isn't random. The flash sale isn't random. The only 2 left in stock notification isn't random. And let's be honest, it's not always real either. They are all meticulously designed to erase the gap between your feelings and your decision, making you act before your brain has a second to ask why. And they've invested billions of dollars to get more effective at it every year. The Japanese have a concept called ma, an intentional gap between actions. It's not hesitation. It's not the indecisive should I buy it or not, back and forth. It's a conscious space to think before you act. Japanese architecture uses ma in designing spaces. Japanese music uses ma in the silence between notes, and the Japanese use ma in their shopping decisions. Applying this to your reality is simple. When you see something you want to buy, take a screenshot or save it to a wish list. Close the app, go to sleep, open it up and look at it the next morning. A 2025 NerdWallet study found that 90% of impulsive shopping decisions vanish completely if the buyer simply waits a full 24 hours before checking out. 90%. Just from sleeping on it. That gemstone ankle massager? By the next morning, you won't want it anymore, I promise. The absolute best way to force this rule on yourself automatically today? Delete your saved credit card info from Amazon, Target, and whatever shopping sites you frequent. Having to physically type in those 16 numbers every time you buy something creates just enough friction for your brain to catch up and ask, do I really need this? And usually the answer is no. Very often. You don't need a fancy budgeting app. You don't need a complicated spreadsheet. You just need to delete your saved credit cards. It's so simple, it's almost laughable. But it's 90% more effective than the complex financial solutions people try to sell you. Usually for a pretty high price, charged straight to your saved credit card. Alright, the 24-hour rule helps you stop buying new garbage you don't need. But I need to ask you about the stuff you already bought. The pile sitting in your closet, in your garage, or in the corner of your living room. Who here has a treadmill at home that is currently serving as a highly effective coat rack? Take your time. I'll wait. You bought it with the fierce determination of someone about to change their entire life. You pictured yourself running every morning, getting shredded, full of energy, maybe even sporting a six-pack. Month 1, you used it 3 times. Month 2, once. By month 3, it started holding your jackets. And now, it just stands there, looking at you with pure disappointment every time you walk by. Like a teacher abandoned by their student. But you don't get rid of it, because you spent $800 on it, and throwing it out feels like admitting defeat. Like looking yourself in the mirror and saying that the 6 a.m. gym grind version of you is never going to exist. That right there? That is the sunk cost fallacy. And it doesn't just apply to treadmills, it applies to that $50 a month gym membership you never use because you already paid for it. It's the $200 online course you haven't opened since Module 2. It's the 4th streaming subscription you signed up for just to watch one show, totally forgot about, and now it quietly steals your money every month like a ghost tenant who refuses to move out. I need you to hear this loud and clear. Keeping that treadmill is never going to bring back your $800. Never. Keeping a gym membership doesn't make you work out more. Keeping the unfinished online course doesn't make you smarter. That money is gone. The only question that matters right now is, do you want to keep paying in physical space, mental energy, and actual cash for things that no longer serve you? Truebill analyzed the spending data of over 2 million American households in 2025. They found that the average home is bleeding over $133 a month on unused subscriptions and memberships. $133 every single month. Vanishing smoothly, like it never even existed. That's over $1,500 a year. In 10 years, with compound interest if you had actually invested it, well, you probably don't want to calculate that number because it will ruin your day. All of it is flowing straight to companies that know perfectly well that most users don't track small automated charges. That is their entire business model, built entirely on predictable human laziness. The Japanese have the concept of motenai, the regret over waste. A lot of people misunderstand this as a reason to hoard things, thinking, oh, the Japanese are frugal, so they never throw anything away. Actually, motenai encourages the exact opposite, letting go of what you don't use so it can go to someone who actually needs it. Keeping things you don't use, that is the real waste. You are holding on to space, energy, and sometimes money for something that produces zero value in your life. Today, pull up your bank statement from last month. Look at every single automated charge. Ask yourself point blank, did I use this in the last 30 days? If the answer is no, cancel it. Don't weigh your options. Don't look for a cheaper tier. Just cancel it. If you desperately need it later, sign up again. But in almost every case, you won't even remember it. And that gym membership? You already know the answer to that one. Once you cancel those, you've just freed up a little extra cash flow every month. That money is not allowed to sit safely in your checking account. It goes straight into the automated system we're going to talk about right now. Because this next part is where I see people fail the most. They know they should save. They want to save. They have a very genuine, sincere intention to save. Then, at the end of the month, they look at their account and wonder where all the money went. Then they repeat the exact same cycle next month and the next year. The exact same loop, the exact same question, never getting a different answer because nothing changes. It's not because they lack discipline. It's because they are relying on the wrong thing. They are relying on willpower. And willpower, I say this with all due respect to everyone watching this video, is the absolute worst resource for managing your finances. It depletes with every single decision you make throughout the day. It gets hijacked by your emotions, by stress, by how poorly you slept last night, or by whether your boss annoyed you today. And it will always lose to the feeling of, I worked hard this month, I deserve a treat. Always. Relying on willpower to save money is like relying on your memory to drink enough water every day, instead of just keeping a water bottle on your desk. You know water is healthy, you want to drink enough. But if you have to actively remember it and get up to grab a glass, you'll forget most days. Put the bottle right in front of you, and drinking water happens automatically. Zero willpower required. Simple as that. No philosophy needed. Bankrate reported in 2026 that only 22% of Americans have automatic transfers set up for their savings or investments. 22%. That means the other 78% are sitting at the end of the month, staring at their balance, debating if they should transfer money, and ultimately deciding, I'll just do it next month. Things are a little tight right now. Next month never comes that way. I guarantee you that. Next month will be tight, too, and the month after that. That is not an economic problem. That is a system problem. The Japanese call a fixed routine katachi, the form that shapes behavior. Once your behavior is poured into a mold, you don't have to make decisions anymore. You just have to not break the mold. And the absolute best financial mold you can build today is automation. Fidelity data from 2026 shows that people who automate their 401k contributions end up with balances 35% higher than those who manually transfer money, even when their incomes are identical. Not because they're more disciplined, not because they're smarter, but because they completely removed the decision step from the process. The money leaves before their brain can think of 10 other things to spend it on. Before the I deserve a treat feeling even has a chance to show up. This week, I want you to set up an auto transfer into your high-yield savings account or your brokerage account on the exact day you get paid, not at the end of the month, on payday, before you even see the money in your checking account. I don't care what the amount is, $50, $100. Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab, they all let you set this up in under 10 minutes on your phone. Less time than it takes to find a lost TV remote. In the beginning, the system matters way more than the dollar amount. The best discipline is the discipline you never have to remember because it's already running on autopilot. Quick question. How many of you just realized you have at least one auto-renewing subscription that you totally forgot about? Drop the number in the comments. I bet the average number is going to shock a lot of people. And if these last 3 rules hit home, hit that like button, so the algorithm knows this content is worth pushing. All right, the final 3 rules are where things get a little more interesting, because we're about to talk about something most people never connect to their money, but it's actually affecting your financial decision-making every single day, and it's probably in your hand right now. I want you to try a little experiment right now. Open your phone. Go to Screen Time or Digital Wellbeing, whatever operating system you use. Look at your average daily hours. Got it? Good. Now don't say it out loud, just hold it in your head. And please, don't make excuses to yourself like, yeah, but mostly it's for work. I'm guessing that number is higher than you thought. And I'm guessing a huge chunk of that time is spent on the news. Financial markets, politics, macroeconomics. The stuff you follow because you feel like you should know. You need to stay updated. You need to stay informed like a responsible adult managing their wealth. I get that feeling, but I need to be brutally honest with you. The vast majority of that information isn't helping you make better financial decisions. It is only making you anxious, more stressed. And anxiety is arguably the worst psychological state you can be in when making any money moves. It's like making major life choices while you're starving. The results are rarely good. The American Psychological Association reported in 2025 that 68% of Americans say the news is a massive source of daily stress. 68%. And chronic stress degrades your financial decision-making in very specific, highly measurable ways. But here's the part I find most fascinating. The Journal of Financial Planning tracked two groups of investors over 5 years in 2025. Group A checked the financial news and markets every single day. The type of people who always know exactly how many points the S&P 500 is up or down. Group B reviewed its portfolio exactly once a quarter. The result? The daily checkers engaged in overtrading by 300%, and their average returns? Significantly lower than the other group. More information, more trading, less money. Something seems really wrong there, right? Actually, it's not wrong. That is exactly how Wall Street works. Overtrading is the ultimate enemy of long-term wealth, and daily financial news is the primary fuel for overtrading, served to you for free, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, straight to your phone screen. The Japanese practice of in their information consumption, too, an intentional gap between input and reaction. It's not because they don't care about the news, it's because they understand that good information needs time to settle before it becomes a good decision. Cramming more data into an already exhausted brain doesn't create wisdom. It just creates noise. And financial noise usually leads to loud, expensive financial mistakes. I'm not telling you to live in a bubble, completely ignorant to what's happening in the world. I'm saying 15 minutes of curated news a day is usually more than enough to grasp what actually impacts your long-term net worth. Everything else is just noise, perfectly engineered to keep you on the screen longer, feeling more anxious and clicking more. That is their business model, not yours. Your challenge for this week: limit your news intake to 15 minutes a day. Not first thing in the morning, when your brain hasn't even booted up. Read it after you've finished your most important task of the day. And absolutely zero news after 8 p.m. Try it for 1 week and watch how drastically your baseline anxiety drops. I bet the results will shock you. But even if you control your information intake, there is something else quietly draining your energy every night, and most people don't even realize it's a problem. It has a very innocent name: resting. Or rather, how you are resting. Think back to last night. After dinner, what did you do? If your answer is, lay on the couch, open Netflix, watch 1 episode, then 2, then 3, and suddenly wonder why it's midnight, you are resting wrong. And doing it wrong has a very real financial cost, even if you don't see it immediately. Sounds crazy, right? How is Netflix stealing your money besides the $15 a month? Netflix isn't stealing your money directly. The state of your brain after staring at Netflix for 3 straight hours is the real problem. Passive rest doesn't actually let your brain recover. It just replaces one type of stimulation with another. Your brain is still processing information, still reacting to colors, sounds, and the artificial drama of the characters on the screen. It isn't work, but it isn't real rest either. The result? You wake up the next morning already tired. Your cognitive battery starts the day at a lower level than normal, and a tired brain, like we talked about earlier, looks for the easiest path for every decision, including financial ones. Scrolling Instagram after work to unwind is like drinking a Red Bull to cure exhaustion, a short-term hit of stimulation, and then you are even more tired than before. In that chronic state of fatigue, you are way more likely to open Amazon, order takeout, or say yes to dumb financial choices that a well-rested version of you would immediately regret the next morning. The familiar loop. A 2024 study from the University of Michigan proved that a 20-minute walk in nature improves focus and decision-making significantly better than spending that same time scrolling social media. 20 minutes of walking, no apps, no special gear. No gym required. Just step out of your house and walk. Put your phone in your pocket and don't look at it. That's it. The Japanese practice Shinrin-yoku, forest bathing. It's intentional, slow walking in nature without staring at a screen. Not because they love trees more than everyone else, or because Japan doesn't have Netflix, but because they understand that real recovery requires real disconnection. And a fully recharged person makes better decisions the next day, including financial ones. This week, swap 30 minutes of evening screen time for walking, cooking, gardening, or reading a physical book. Not an audiobook while you're multitasking. A real book, sitting completely still, with zero notifications pinging constantly. Try this for 7 days and see if your impulsive decisions drop. I bet they will. And I bet your fridge will get opened a lot less at 11 p.m. too. And now we arrive at the final rule, the one I mentioned at the very beginning of this video. When I tell you what it is, some of you will nod instantly because you've known it for years but never had the guts to admit it out loud. And some of you will get slightly defensive. Not because it's wrong, but because it's a little too right. I want you to think about the 5 people you spent the most time with this past month. Not on social media, in real life. The people you eat with, hang out with, text constantly, and see face to face. Got 'em? Good. Now I need you to answer one single question with brutal honesty. Just one. No complex analysis needed. Are those people pushing you toward financial freedom? Or are they dragging you into keeping up with the Joneses? Don't answer too fast. Really think about it. Do you have that friend group where every dinner out ends with someone ordering another round of drinks because we barely ever get to see each other? Why not live a little? Do you have a best friend who is always showing off something new every time you meet? A new car? A new vacation, a new designer bag, and you drive home with this vague feeling that your life is missing something, even if you don't know what. Do you have relatives who, the second you mention saving or investing, roll their eyes and say, "Come on, live a little. You can't take it with you when you die"? Those interactions are not random, and their impact on your net worth is absolutely massive. In 2025, the Harvard Business Review analyzed the spending data of over 10,000 American households over 5 years. Here's what they found. The financial habits of your closest social circle predict your own financial habits more accurately than your income or your education level. Read that line again. More accurately than your income, more accurately than your education. You cannot build solid financial habits in an environment that constantly rewards toxic ones. I don't care how many books you read. I don't care how many videos like this one you watch. I don't care how good your willpower is. The environment will always win in the long run. Always. That isn't an opinion. That is data. Thousands of years ago, ancient Jewish wisdom in the Pirkei Avot noted something very similar. The environment you choose isn't just something you observe. It subtly shapes who you become every single day without you even noticing. Today, according to the Federal Reserve, the Jewish community in America has one of the highest rates of investing and wealth building. Not because they are just smarter or luckier, but because they actively build a community culture around specific, consistent, generational financial values. An intentionally designed environment. Your environment isn't an accident. It is a choice. I'm not telling you to ruthlessly cut off everyone you know today and only hang out with people who invest in index funds, wear glasses, and drink green tea. That's not realistic advice. And that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is much simpler. You control the dosage. You can intentionally increase the time you spend around people with solid financial habits, even if it's just through books, podcasts, online communities, or grabbing a quiet coffee with that one friend who is actually building their net worth. And you can gently dial back the frequency of those hangouts that always end up with everyone spending way more than they planned, leaving you going home feeling completely empty. It's not about judging them. It's about protecting your own environment. It is your right. Look at those 5 people one more time and ask yourself, if my net worth eventually becomes the exact average of these 5 people, where will I be in 10 years? The answer to that question matters more than any investment strategy I could ever give you today. More than any number or formula, because it decides whether you will actually be able to apply a single thing you learned in this video. Alright, that's all 9 rules. And look, if you're still here, it's not because you've got nothing better to do. It's because one of these rules hit a nerve. It's that thing you felt in your gut for a while, but nobody ever leaned in and said it out loud. I'm not going to give you a boring recap. You don't need a summary, you need a win. Pick one rule, just one, the one that made you think, yeah, I'm definitely screwing that up. Now, go apply it this week. Don't try to overhaul your entire life at once. That's how you end up back in debt by Friday. One rule actually followed is worth 10 times more than a saved video you never watch again. Always. Drop less is more in the comments and tell me which rule you're grabbing. And hey, if there's one that feels impossible to follow, tell me that too. Usually the rule you hate the most is exactly the one your net worth needs the most. If you know someone who's grinding 60 hours a week but still stuck on that financial hamster wheel, send this to them. Most people don't need a 500-page textbook on macroeconomics. They just need a reality check on where their paycheck is leaking. One 10-minute video at the right time can break a decade of bad habits. There's a Japanese concept called ichigo, ichi-e, the idea that this moment happens exactly once. The $20 you blow today on a whim? You're never seeing that again. But the choice you make right now, even something small, like turning off one-click ordering or killing that ghost subscription, that's where the momentum starts. See you in the next one.